All right. Steven Crowder, baby. That's what we're looking at now. It's time to stop. Like the meme, like it's time to stop, like Filthy Frank, you know, like this one, like.
It's time to stop. It's time to stop, okay? No more.
He just called his video, it's time to stop. All right. So, background to this, okay, if you're not familiar, is for whatever reason, the Daily Wire offered Steven Crowder a deal, right, to come work for them. And I don't know what the deal was all about. I guess there was like a lot of money involved, like millions of dollars potentially, and Steven Crowder turned it down, right? And he's real upset about it too. So I'm curious as to what he's saying. I've only seen secondhand accounts of this stuff. I haven't listened to any of it up front. So
StopBigCon.com now exists.
Stop Big Con means stop big conservatism. So big conservative Steven Crowder is calling for a stop to big conservatism.
To begin with, it's been a while. Either this has to stop, or
It's time to stop.
I'm going to have to stop. Either this, what I'm about to discuss, has to stop, or I don't know. This may just not be for me anymore. So let me.
Oh no, are we looking at the end of Crowder? Where am I going to get my brain dead takes now? I don't want to go to Shabibo. He talks too fast.
Explain, give me a few minutes of your time because context matters here. I ask that you don't skip ahead. Won't take very long. This has been a long time coming. This is a conversation that I've actively avoided, sidestepped, and I've hoped and prayed that it not be necessary behind the scenes for a long while, but that's no longer possible. So if you've watched for the last decade, you know that I've always made it clear that we here at Mug Club are in the business of serving you.
Me.
The viewer,
personally.
you watching, listening right now.
Hey.
I've also made it clear that I wouldn't be in the business of attacking other conservatives, regardless of disagreements or personal issues. And I've always explained my logic was relatively simple. I believe that the world was better with more voices out there rather than less, regardless of minute differences, considering the magnitude of the battle that we are genuinely fighting for our country right now. But for the first time, I have to say that I believe many of those in charge in the right-leaning media are actually at odds with what's best for you, the viewer.
Oh no, no way.
The customer, and more importantly, the country.
Oh no. Is he going to say Fox News is bad for America? Oh wow. Steven, we agree. That's crazy. Beautiful man.
We here at Mug Club, we thought that we were all in this together, that we were fighting
This is the leftist infighting I've heard about right here. This is it.
the media, entertainment, industrial complex. We
Media,
thought that we were all
entertainment,
genuinely
industrial
taking it to
complex.
big tech. But too many of those in charge of the big conservative platforms are verifiably in bed with them.
Oh.
Big tech is in bed with Big Con.
Big con? It's all a big con, isn't it? Oh man. He's on to something, man. Crowder's on to something. I'm telling you. It's true.
People you thought, the people I thought were fighting for you, a lot of it has been a big con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart. It's never too late to do the right thing. Guys, this is a genuine plea. We can all do better. We can all do better. It doesn't have to be this way. And
All right.
please,
I want to see if there's more juicy details.
don't make me have to provide receipts.
I want receipts, baby. I want receipts. Maybe there's a follow-up video to this. I looked on his channel, and this isn't the only one. I just saw this. I didn't want to do this. All right, I bet this is it. Oh man, look at that shit-eating grin. Oh, look at him. He's fucking jacked about it. Oh man, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. You can tell. Look at that face. Oh man. All right.
They don't get deals that...
They can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand. They can be wage slaves for a little bit. They can be
Wage slaves.
for a little bit.
I can't believe you used that terminology on the what do you do? No. Oh no. Oh fuck. All right, let's hear him go into this.
God bless the talk boy. Those things are worth like $5,000 now. It's an expensive gag. So didn't want to have to do this, but Daily Wire outed themselves very, very quickly. And sure enough, if you see all of the people who work there, some of whom I have relationships with, they immediately tried to make this all about money. Here's the problem. There are a few problems, and I'll go through with some receipts.
Yeah.
Everything that was said
Receipts,
about negotiations, how they transpired, beyond the numerical value, which is true and I'll get to, everything else is untrue. I don't really want to get into that. It's completely irrelevant. Here's why. Go back to the 20-something minute video, 30-minute video. You've never heard me say or write anywhere online that these offers weren't paying enough money. Why? Because it's not about the money.
Because the money's good. I'm kind of curious. Well, look, Steven Crowder deal. Hey, $50 million. Oh, fuck me, dude. What? Okay, so we're on Forbes, known leftist website. We're gonna look this up, okay? Known postmodern neo-Marxist website. Far-right YouTuber Steven Crowder has accused conservative media outlets like the Daily Wire of conspiring with tech companies to censor conservative views after the company offered Crowder a $50 million deal that would cut his competition if his social media channels were demonetized or boycotted, which Crowder called a slave contract. In a video posted online this week, Crowder said that some outlets were in bed with tech companies and were colluding to ultimately demonetize and censor right-wing views on social media platforms, though he didn't name any outlets specifically. Crowder also showed excerpts of a contract from one company, later confirmed to be the Daily Wire, with the compensation penalizations if his programming faced loss of advertising revenue, including from advertiser boycotts or if Crowder's channels were demonetized by social media platforms. While Crowder never named the media company or specified their proposed salary, he said that the contract's immoral terms are effectively punishing conservative content creators on behalf of big tech. The Daily Wire's CEO, Jeremy Boring, which I'm sure he is, right? I'm sure he's very boring, confirmed in a YouTube video on Thursday details of Crowder's job offer, claiming the YouTuber misrepresented the contract that would have awarded Crowder $50 million over 4 years. What? That's like, what, 17 mil a year? Jesus. Boring chalked up the contract stipulations to running profitable media business and said Crowder seems to think he deserves to be paid millions and millions and millions of dollars, whether his show drives revenue to the Daily Wire or not. Far-right media personalities criticized Crowder, including the Daily Wire co-founder. I mean, it's the Daily Wire. Of course, the Daily Wire co-founder, Ben Shapiro, is going to have something to say about it, right? That's, like, super straightforward, right? Who said it was rather nasty to attack his friends over his misinterpretation of a document that offers you $50 million. Right, like, that's a lot of money. There's got to be something going on here. Matt Walsh, known genius, uh, who hosts a show on the Daily Wire, said the suggestion that the company's pundits are somehow muzzled or controlled is blatantly absurd, while Candace Owens said it was a total bitch move. Yeah, smart stuff from Candace Owens, known intelligent human. Crowder defended himself in a YouTube video Thursday, saying that comments were not about money and that he encouraged the Daily Wire to change their business model to not rely so much on advertiser revenue. So, it seems to me that all you see is violence. No, I'm just kidding. Family Guy's trash. Anyway, hot take. So, it seems what's going on here, straightforward, is they offered Steven Crowder a certain deal, right, where he would make $17.5 million a year or whatever, but he would have to run stories that would line up with whatever the Daily Wire wanted, right? Like, that's the issue here. So there are gonna be problems for Steven if he runs a story that ends up being not monetizable. If advertisers run away from it, then he's going to have problems because they're not going to set it up for him. So that makes sense, right? Like, on both sides, right? Wanting the freedom to create whatever it is you can, you know, with generally just YouTube's terms of service being it, which YouTube terms of service are pretty fucking lax. So if that's what you want, if you want to do things based on YouTube's terms of service, right, and someone offers you another different terms of service to do some other stuff, right, it makes sense to me that you'd be like, nah, I want to keep making the content I want to make. I don't want to make the content other people expect me to, right? But at the same time, if I was the Daily Wire, I would also want to make sure that Crowder wasn't alienating advertisers, because that's how I make my money. So I think both sides of this deal make a lot of sense, right? Steven Crowder saying, if I do something wrong, you're going to essentially censor me. You're going to tell me that I'm not allowed to do this thing because blah, blah, blah. It doesn't fit with your advertiser's budget. And Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire are like, yeah, that's the thing, is that you got to match us, because if not, we make no money, and then we're paying you bunches of money. We're just losing money on you. So I think both sides of that are reasonable, and I don't think Crowder's claim that they're trying to like stop or censor conservative voices is accurate. I just think they're trying to monopolize. That's capitalism, baby, right? They see that Steven Crowder has a nominally profitable venture, right? And they want to take that venture for themselves if they can and make money off of it themselves. It's what happens every time, right? He's like, what's happening is right now, the Daily Wire is McDonald's, okay? And Steven Crowder is Joe's Burger Shop, okay? And McDonald's reaches out to Joe's Burger Shop and says, hey, Joe's Burger Shop, we like your stuff. We want to buy you. We're going to pay you a boatload of money, right? But you can't make your burgers anymore. You have to make our burgers now, right? And that's what happens, is that you have the choice then to, you know, put up with the idea that you can't have that level of originality to what you're doing, right? Or pass on the money. So, like, that's up to you. If $50 million over 4 years was worth it to you, then sure, yeah, hell yeah, do it. But if not, then keep your creative rights to yourself. Like, this is really straightforward. The Daily Wire is just bigger and wants more people under its wing. It wants to take, like, the vibrant culture, I guess you could say, if I can say that, of political punditry, specifically on the right, and it wants to kind of condense it into this, like, factory farm style, put out, you know, assembly line style content, instead of it being like more inventive potentially or whatever. And that's the problem, I think, where Crowder's saying that, like, he's going to be censored. He's not going to be censored necessarily, right? He's just going to have to tone back certain aspects of the things he does and says. Kind of like Alex Jones, right? Like, Alex Jones can't come out and say all the shit he wants to say because some of it's illegal. So I don't see it as censorship, but I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, right? So let's hear his side of the story, okay? I'm interested.
It's kind of unreal to me that the only thing these people can still talk about is the money. The conversation was about
the slave labor thing, dude. Like, they can be our wage slaves for a little bit. Like, that's not a good look.
conservatism, the movement, and big tech. They keep talking about money. I'm talking about a country. I'm talking about a movement. I'm talking about making a difference. It's not about the money. And Jeremy
thing.
And the Daily Wire know that. How do I know they know that? Because after, according to what he said, I walked away from the offer. I did place one more call to the Daily Wire. And I made it very, very clear that it wasn't about money. That was not the topic of conversation. There was zero, as they've tried to portray this, miscommunication.
Okay. So some people might fucking hate me for this this particular analogy, but it's kind of like what's going on right now with Francis Ngannou. So for those of you that don't follow MMA, right? I do religiously, right? Francis Ngannou is the consensus best heavyweight fighter on the planet right now, right? He had a very close win over the number 2 guy in the UFC right now, Cyril Gane, and he left the company as champion, right? So he left the company, and Dana White offered him a shitload of money to come back on his contract, something like $8 million a fight, right? So for him, that's 16 to 20 million, pretty close to what Steven Crowder's getting off. 16-ish, $24 million a year potentially, right? Depending on how often he fights. But the thing is, what Francis Ngannou wanted was healthcare for all of the fighters, was for the fighters to get paid a better amount, for Dana White to stop scraping as much off the top, for the UFC to stop taking so much from the fighters, because the fighters are the ones that make everything work. So that's kind of what's happening here. Steven Crowder's like, no, I think that the money should go straight to those people. They shouldn't be restricted. They should be able to do the thing they want without worrying about whether or not they follow your rules. Right? And even though he's getting offered exuberant amounts of money, it's not about the exuberant amounts of money. He doesn't care about that exuberant amount of money, like with Francis Ngannou. He doesn't need the $8 million a year or whatever. He left as champ. He always wants to go fucking box Tyson Fury, so he probably will, and he'll make $100 million off of that by himself, never have to work again in his life. But him stepping away as champ is a statement to the UFC to say, I don't like your shtick, right? And that's what I think is happening here. But I don't know. Again, this is just my perspective on it.
It was one last call where the only thing that I asked for, my only demand, was their word, and not even for me, but for other people coming up facing these kinds of contracts.
Let's say it's a kid who comes in with 500,000 YouTube subscribers or something like that, 100,000. Let's say it's some other kid you're paying 6 figures to come in and do it. There's not the penalty of the demonetization, or if they're removed from iTunes, Apple, YouTube.
Yeah, sure there would be.
And here's something else. I was also very measured. I was painstakingly clear in taking myself off the table because it wasn't going to be a right fit. That happens in business all the time. But that we weren't talking about me. We were talking about the futures of other people who.
Right. So, like I said, the Ngannou situation is actually super analogous.
Could potentially be in that position, that very disconcerting position. No miscommunication.
What I'm talking about is you're describing a model for everyone, not just, let's get rid of me here. Everyone, if there's a penalty for being demonetized on YouTube, because your business model requires that be a huge component of it, you need to change your business model or this movement cannot work, Jeremy. I can't imagine my show trying to come up and be beholden to YouTube advertiser guidelines, let alone, I mean, honestly, being beholden from a conservative entity with hard strikes, right, being removed, but let alone being advertiser friendly. We know how broad those guidelines are. They might as well just read, don't say anything offensive, and they change them at the drop of a hat.
I'm not suggesting that the guidelines aren't terrible. I'm suggesting that if making money off of those platforms is part of how you're justifying the salary you're paying someone, then or the fee I keep saying salary, the fee you're paying someone, then when those go away, everybody loses money. You can't pay the same amount with less revenue.
How about you create a different business model?
Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Of course.
So again, exactly as I said, the problem is just like with the UFC situation, the business model is the problem, right? Because if fighters get healthcare and everything, they would have to change up how they do things. Right now, fighters are considered like private entities; they're private contractors, right? So the UFC would have to change its business model in order to accompany that if they were to make that decision, right? So in this case, Crowder's like, I want a more equitable system, which is fucking hilarious to me as a leftist that a conservative is asking for like a more equitable system. But he wants a more equitable system for the little guy, essentially. He's sticking up for the little guy. And as much as I fucking hate Steven Crowder, I think he's probably right here. Sticking up for the little guy. He's the big guy. He is a big guy. He's not the big guy here, but a big guy. It's like the UFC is the big guy, Francis Ngannou is the next guy down, and then after that is all of the like fighters that are unranked or whatever. He's saying pay them what they're worth, don't get them, don't let them die on camera or whatever, stuff like that. So I think Steven Crowder is in the right in this deal overall morally, but I think both of them have a reasonable position, right? The whole business model would have to change, like Crowder's asking for them to be able to do what they're trying to do with conservative creators. So, yeah, I understand if someone's trying to provide you a service, that service in this case is like their particular brand of conservative talk nonsense or whatever. If you're trying to put that up for them, right, they have to be producing something. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to pay them. It would be like hiring someone to do a job where they come in and they sit around and do nothing when they're supposed to be stocking shelves or something. You're wasting money. So both sides seem pretty reasonable.
Telling someone else, hey, change your business model. I get it. I'm in no position to say that unless, instead of Monday morning quarterbacking it, here's the thing. I didn't just offer criticisms. I offered a guide on how to, here's the deal. I want to sit at the table with people who, granted, have an immense amount of power and have incredibly deep pockets. That is all true, to be clear. And by the way, it's something that I want to have on our side of the aisle. But I offered a guide on how to do it. It is incumbent, this is what this is about. It is incumbent upon conservatives, if we believe what we say, to uncouple, to divest, if you want to use that term, from big tech. Right? For the business models of the movement as we move forward, to not rely on playing ball with Facebook and with YouTube. That's
objectively true. They, for whatever reason, despite the fact that he's got like 8 million subs or something dumb like that, he rallies against Google and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff all the time. And it's conservatives in general rally against Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all that. So if they're going to stand true to their principles, they shouldn't be using it. They need to be exclusively using different ones, like he said, divesting. So I would agree with that generally.
That is something that we have to move toward. You know that we've been trying to do that here for years. That's why every single show we say, hey, if you can watch on Rumble, please do so. We're not looking to be banned on YouTube. But we certainly won't compromise the truth in order to be advertiser friendly. Here's the thing, Daily Wire, Jeremy, and I really do hope that we can talk at some point. Please, you can pick up the phone.
He is being incredibly measured here too. Honestly, this is like the most, that's the worst face I've ever seen. But I'm fucking screenshotting that. That's beautiful. Oh yeah. Gorgeous. Okay. But he's being incredibly measured here. This is probably the smartest I've ever seen Steven Crowder sound.
We've done that. We here have found a way to make that work. For proof, see election night, our numbers on Rumble there, and see the numbers on Rumble when we get suspended from YouTube. I think it was 4 times this last year. And I went to great lengths to communicate that to the people at Daily Wire.
Yeah,
There can be no next me if the people at the top with the financial resources are doing the bidding. That's being the arm of big tech. What you just said is, well, we have to play ball with big tech if we want to make money. Well, I don't. Why don't you guys follow a model like I have and scale it? That's what I've been doing since 2014. You know that. Has been trying to make sure, which I thought we were all doing, that we can all flip the bird to Silicon Valley. This is saying we need him and you need to play ball.
Now, I don't disagree that if conservatives are going to stick to their principles, they need to, quote unquote, flip the bird to big tech or whatever. Don't disagree with that at all, sure. But the issue is that they have so much power, right? So this is monopolization in general, right? Even if you can get 4.5 million people to leave YouTube because Steven Crowder left YouTube or whatever, which you won't, right? You won't. But let's say every one of his subscribers says, yeah, fuck YouTube. I'm only watching Rumble from now on, baby. Like, 4.5 million people is going to sink YouTube? Big doubt on that one, buddy. And you can look at that for every politics channel you'll ever look at. If that politics channel says stop watching YouTube now, it's not even going to leave a notable dent in the amount of viewership that Google pulls in with YouTube, right? So that's the problem, is that regardless of what they do, YouTube's going to be fine, right? YouTube is going to be doing great. And there's always going to be a vast amount of viewership there. So as a business model, why not go to where the people are, right? Isn't that how it works? Location, 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 right? If everybody's on YouTube, if huge portions of people are looking for content on YouTube, go to YouTube. So again, I think both sides have a reasonable claim to what's going on.
And by the way, before some of you ask for this, look, there's always personal information on phone calls. And for the record, I've recorded 3 people on phone calls in my life. All 3 are involved with big tech. Just to be clear, the entire call transcript has been sent to others to verify without hopefully having to release the whole thing. And I'll be on Tim Pool's show, I believe, on Monday to talk about it.
Oh,
now,
no.
This is something else
that's some brain genius shit right there. Oh, man, we got to cover that next week.
Been brought to my attention that, look, some people have been sent out from Daily Wire and have gotten very personal. Obviously, when we released this video, we didn't name names, and I told you there are a lot of people in the space who have made offers, and it is true. There are quite a few, and there are some others that have been pretty similar to this. This isn't an incredibly unique scenario, but there have been some good people out there too, and we're still talking with them. So I do know that some people from Daily Wire have have come out, maybe been instructed to. I have no idea. I don't care. And they've gotten very personal. I don't want to do that. At least I didn't want to. But now it's sort of necessary for me to do so. So these are the only personal things I will say about the people at Daily Wire. Andrew Klavan.
Oh, man. Oh, here it goes. Oh, this is going to be good.
Is one of my favorite people of all time.
Oh.
He has an
well, that was boring. I was waiting for it.
Unbelievable skill.
I was waiting for Ben Shapiro is objectively a pedophile. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was waiting for, right?
To make you feel like the smartest guy in the room, even though I guarantee you he's smarter than you. There are very few people whose company I enjoy more than Andrew Klavan. Jordan Peterson is not only a friend, I would go to the wall for him. He's a guy who has changed the landscape of our country for the better. Can't say enough good things about him. Ben Shapiro is possibly the smartest person I know.
I don't know anything about Andrew Klavan. I'm going to look him up, but Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro are fucking morons, so.
That's as personal as I'll get. Now, here's the thing. Only after that final call, after negotiations had fallen through,
that's how personal
pleading
it gets.
On the side of principle and knowing that it was completely met with deaf ears, did I come out like I did? See, here's the thing. Daily, they keep talking about a business. Well, I walked away from the table because I'm talking like it's about a country, about a movement. And this is the thing.
Okay, so I think that there's probably not going to be
in my shoes.
whole lot left to this. I think we've kind of gotten his perspective on this one. You know, I don't think we need to finish this whole thing. I'm gonna look. It looks like there's a couple more quotes. We're gonna listen to the conversations and kind of get what's going on. But I think we kind of understand this already. This isn't really a hard thing to grasp.
As long as these contracts include that, not even for me, but the next person, I wouldn't take $1 billion.
That's principle,
and certainly
baby.
not if you understand in context, when behind closed doors, I know, and these people know, and acknowledge exactly what's being done to the next generation of creators.
Sure.
Bench talent, young talent, they don't get deals like this.
So they don't get deals that
They can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand.
you then own.
Well, I own parts of it. I don't own it. They can, when their contract's up, they can still go out and they'll still be famous. They can keep doing their shows, so go do a show somewhere else. They'll be in a far, far, far better place. You helped to make them.
No, not long as this contract. This contract owns it in perpetuity even after the contract. You're paying a lease but getting ownership.
Oh.
That's what this contract reads.
On the content that we paid to produce, yes.
You know, look, I understand there are going to be
Wowzers. That's something I'd like to see, that contract, because it does say in perpetuity. So, that's not good. Oof.
differing opinions on this. I understand that. As someone who does run a business and has to 20, I think maybe 25 employees, I don't know, we're expanding. I understand people run businesses differently and have different priorities. Here's the thing. I would genuinely still, Daily Wire, Jeremy, love to sit down at the table and explain to you how you can make all of this work, how you can scale what we do and not have to be beholden to the people who we all go out and claim that we're fighting, and especially with all of the financial resources.
Oof, man. You know, the only issue is that, like I said, again, the people are at YouTube. That's the problem, right? Like Steven keeps saying, like, scale it. And I'm sure there's a small amount of scaling that can be done, but not to the size that the Daily Wire is going to want, right? If they're offering $50 million contracts to Steven Crowder, I'm going to Rumble is not going to be it, buddy. It's just not going to be it.
That you have, which, by the way, are very impressive. And by the way, since fielding requests for people who've sent this in who you guys are under these kinds of contracts, right? You've sent in your emails. If you're looking to either join a network or looking to navigate these contracts, we've been flooded. I'm going to try and get to all of you. But here's the thing. Let me give you my word right now. My word. Everyone, you can timestamp it, call me on it. Here at Mug Club, we will never take any ownership over your social media platforms or your channels, and I don't want a dime ever of your YouTube revenue. You make your own decision as to whether you want to be monetized or not. Some people want to, some people don't. I just have a problem with requiring that you do and penalizing you if you don't. And to Daily Wire, to the rest of the people out there, give me a call.
Damn.
And look, let me put it this way. If you give me your word, this is all that matters here. Just give me your word that there will never be a clause in a contract again for some unsuspecting kid or someone who doesn't have the luxury to walk away from $50 million, as I did, true, guilty as charged. Give me your word that you will not penalize them 25% for demonetization, another 20% for a strike, another 20% for Facebook, Spotify, Apple, up to 80%. Just give me your word.
Up to 80%.
That clause, that spirit will not be in any contract sent out to anyone else who's at the front lines fighting for this country. And we're done. All of this stops right now. You will never hear from me again. I will go out and sing your praises. You can pick up the phone. You have my word. That's all it is.
Wow, man.
That's all this is about.
He laid that out flat. Damn. Wow. Okay. All right. Steven Crowder with principles, man. That's impressive. You know, I'm proud of him, man. That's crazy. You know, I hate his guts. Not a fan. don't like Steven Crowder, not the guy, right? Not the guy. Real dumb human, but standing by principle is something I can get behind, you know? That's all right. I like that. That's good.